and in the Regional Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. Following board direction on December 10th of last year, the CPED team did reach out to residents and organizations across Thurston County. We do appreciate the 250 plus people who took the time to share their comments via our web survey. We're also happy to see so many people here today to share their feedback. After today's hearing, staff will bring the ordinance back to the board for consideration at a future meeting. Currently, we do know of 2 of our cities here in Thurston County that are also considering a similar ordinance. The Tumwater City Council is holding a work session next week on February 24th, and the City of Olympia also has a meeting scheduled tentatively for March 17th to discuss this ordinance. If it is adopted, it would not take effect until 1 year after the adoption date. During that year, county, working with our city partners, would work together to develop a regional home energy score program. The primary tasks during this year would include developing a private sector workforce, also referred to as certified home energy score assessors. So they're not employees of Thurston County. They would be certified separately. Conducting outreach to residents and real estate agents, as well as finalizing any implementation processes and monitoring. That concludes my remarks.
Questions for Ashley before we get going? Public comment? No? Okay, thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to start with folks in the room. John Pettit, you're up first. Christina Janis is on deck.
Commissioners, my name is John Pettit. I live on Rich Road. Of particular interest is my association with previously being a real estate broker from the time I was 18 years old, and involved in building before that, including insulating houses for the family construction business. What I want to bring forward to you is that while I understand that the federal government started the program and then we follow it up with people want to join in order to score points or whatever, we're helping protect you. Well, the fact of the matter is that Thurston County particularly is serviced through Puget Sound Energy. I'm bringing that up as a point because anybody that's first of all going to buy a house has the right to request a feasibility study and particularly any items of interest to them about the nature of the house, whether it's efficient or not. That's part of buying a house. Caveat, buyer beware. It's part of the basic process of how buying works. Now, in order to resolve this, very simple, anybody on any house out there, any house, building, etc., if they have a Puget Sound Energy bill, I decided to dive into my own as an example. You can get a comparison of your energy usage and efficiency, for instance, of how you compare to other homes of similar like nature. It already exists. It doesn't cost anything. Now, not only can you find that particular part out, but you can also find out right online all of the cost involved for energy to supply for a house. Mine was out here for 36 months. It'll go back. So the fact of the matter is it already exists. It's available to the consumer. We don't need any more delays. We don't need any more process. And people that list their houses are not necessarily going to sell their house. They list them thinking they might want to sell, but you're going to put another burden on potential property owners to make them pay something because they're even considering selling. You need to shelf this. We shouldn't spend a single penny pursuing it in any way, shape, or form. Thank you.
Christina Janis with Don Baker on deck.
I almost said good morning. How about that? Hey, good afternoon. Christina Janis. I live in the northwest corner of the county. Here today as a residential broker in Thurston County. I am just asking you here to pause this ordinance. We had a listening session and it was brought to our attention. There's a lot of vagueness in this ordinance. I don't see actual data. I see algorithms from the DOE. That's what we were explained. Facts matter. I think before you, as the commissioners, need to look at the facts, the actual costs. I've talked to home inspectors. They can't run a truck out for less than $150. Most of them are $200. That's just running the person out there for the inspection. That's not the actual cost. There's verbiage in the ordinance that speaks of recording. Where are we recording besides a listing? Is it recording here? That's another $300 plus. So there are fees, cost, mitigations, a lot of impacts that aren't disclosed in the written ordinance as it is. Not to mention, there's some serious impacts that could be with the REIT laws and such like that. I have all my little talking notes, but I get kind of crazy. We are for climate resilience. No one here lives in this state, born and raised 4 generations. We love where we live. We love all the amenities our area gives us. But we have to do so with fact-based, intentional ordinances or rules. I say voluntary. Mr. Pettit mentioned we have tools in the place. I've had an assessment from PSC in my own home. There are tools. I'm the Keep It Simple Club. You know, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel when the tools already exist. I think we want to make ourselves feel better. We need to make sure that it's done right, and I would push more on the voluntary side of it because education is power. I would also look at incentives. There are tools out there. There's Energize Thurston. Making mandates only complicate the home buying process. It puts sellers at risk for more costs. Trust me, markets will shift. Those burdens will be resting on those homeowners. You have sellers that come in different points. We have sellers that have to sell quickly. They don't have the time. What happens right now, there's one assessor in the state of Washington from Vancouver. How do they get to make an assessment for a home that I have to list in 5 days? There's a lot of caveats here that I hope you guys take the time and look at. So thank you.
Thank you. Don Baker with Tracy Choate on deck.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Dawn Baker, and I serve as the president of the Thurston County Realtors Association, representing over 750 real estate professionals who work with buyers and sellers across our community every day. We support energy efficiency, we support informed consumers, and we support policies that help homeowners reduce costs over time. What we do not support is implementing a new requirement at the time of listing without fully understanding its impacts. Our members are on the front lines of housing affordability. They see firsthand how even modest additional costs, inspection requirements, or administrative steps can create barriers, especially for first-time buyers, seniors on fixed incomes, and households already struggling in a tight housing market. Because of that, we are concerned about moving forward with a mandate that directly affects every residential real estate transaction in Thurston County without full and transparent engagement from the professionals who implement those transactions daily. There are still unanswered questions regarding housing affordability impacts, transaction timing and delays, enforcement and liability, administrative capacity, and potential fiscal implications, including possible REIT-related risks under state law. This is not a small policy change. It is a structural change to how every home is brought to market, and one in which our association and members were not meaningfully engaged during the development process. Please also note that at no point did our organization formally support advancing a mandatory home energy score requirement at time of listing, regardless of testimony or claims that state otherwise. For that reason, we are asking for a straightforward and reasonable action. Pause this ordinance. Conduct thorough due diligence and engage stakeholders, including the real estate community, in a meaningful way before advancing a mandate. A pause is not a rejection of energy goals. It is a commitment to getting policy right. We stand ready to participate constructively. We want to be part of the solution, but we cannot support moving forward without careful evaluation and broad collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy Choate, Laura McGee on deck.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Hello, my name is Tracy Choate, and I am the designated broker and owner of a real estate firm in Lacey, and I am a current resident of Thurston County in District Number 2. I'm here today in opposition to the proposed mandatory home energy score ordinance as currently drafted. Let me be clear, I support energy efficiency, I support climate resilience, and I believe housing policy should move us forward. However, this proposal raises serious concerns that deserve pause and deeper analysis. Thurston County is already facing a housing affordability and supply crisis. Adding a mandatory time of listing requirement introduces new transaction costs, delays not only with making housing inventory available, but also transaction delays and lends to uncertainty in residential home values. Those impacts fall hardest on seniors, longtime homeowners, and households on fixed incomes. As drafted, the HES ordinance puts a heavy burden on home sellers in Thurston County, opening them up to potential upgrades required to improve their energy score, face longer time on the market, or worse, lower values seen at the closing table. Lower values can significantly impact a seller's ability to sell, especially those owners that are in distress. The delay of obtaining an HES report will also be detrimental to those sellers in an immediate need of selling their property. There are also significant implementation gaps. We do not have clarity on the cost of assessments, assessor availability, enforcement standards, or how this would affect timelines in already complex transactions. I believe that there has been a lack of clear engagement from appraisers, lenders, and insurance providers, leaving uncertainty around valuation, financing, and insurability based on the information provided in an HES report. That uncertainty alone introduced risks into what should be a straightforward residential transaction. Finally, this ordinance requires disclosure, not improvements. There is no evidence that mandatory scoring alone meaningfully reduces emissions. If the goal is environmental impact, incentive-based and voluntary programs may achieve far better results without destabilizing the housing market. If the goal is for buyer knowledge, the buyer of a property has ample opportunity within inspection and feasibility time periods to conduct their own HES evaluation at no cost to the seller and without delaying the properties entering the market. We can pursue climate goals without undermining affordability, market stability, or local funding. I urge you to pause adoption, expand voluntary programs, and convene housing stakeholders before advancing a mandate. Smart policy balances environmental responsibility with economic reality. This proposal, as written, does not yet strike that balance. Thank you.
Laura McGee with TJ Johnson on deck. Nope, okay, TJ Johnson.
Good afternoon. For the record, I'm TJ Johnson. I own a house and a rental property in the Olympia UGA, and I've been a resident of Thurston County for 35 years. I've also spent the last 40 years as an academic, an environmental professional, an elected official, and a farmer, studying, developing policy around climate change and implementing climate solutions. And I'm here today to encourage you to go forward with this ordinance as written. Last week, defying reality and overwhelming global consensus, the Trump administration got rid of the endangerment finding, which was the basis for all federal action on climate change. Federal action is gone for the foreseeable future. So what that means is local jurisdictions, counties, cities, and states need to step up and fill the void in leadership. And that's exactly what this ordinance does. It fills a void in leadership. I would like to go a lot further than this ordinance proposes, but this is a reasonable step to take to begin with. So there are costs involved in selling a house. I've sold several. I will probably sell more in the future. But let's just think about this for a second. The median price of a home in Thurston County is over $450,000. And when you sell a house, you are paying some or all of a whole variety of costs: brokerage fees, escrow fees, title fees, etc. The cost of these audits, based on experiences from other jurisdictions around the region and around the country, pale in comparison to the costs that we are already bearing as home sellers. I also happen to believe that markets work best when both the buyer and the seller have complete information. And that's what this ordinance does. It gives both parties information to make rational decisions. And contrary to some of what has been stated here before, you can get some information from things like Puget Sound Energy or your own energy bill. It's nowhere near the information that you would get through this process here. And there's no requirement that the seller share that information with the buyer. So this would be a step in the right direction of making the market work better by full information of all parties. So I would encourage you to support this. It's consistent with your comprehensive plan. It's consistent with the climate action plan for the region. And as was stated in the introduction, you have a year before this goes into effect after it's adopted. That's a time to work out a lot of details and to take some input and make this thing really work well. And I think we can do that. And, you know, just I'll, in closing, remind you that the 11 hottest years ever recorded in human history were the last 11 years. And our federal government doesn't seem to care about that. I hope you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Heidi Barrientos with David Gaw on deck.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Heidi Barrientos. I'm a Thurston County resident, tenant, and a stakeholder for residential habitability. I am here today to speak on the Home Energy Score Ordinance. While I support the county's climate goal, I am formally submitting a proposal for the Moisture, Mold, and Habitability Addendum. We cannot talk about energy efficiency without talking about life safety. The current ordinance is mold silent. In our rush to create a tight building envelopes for thermal efficiency, we risk creating what experts call sealed box syndrome. When we seal airtight leaks without verifying that a home's mechanical ventilation actually works, we trap moisture inside. For a tenant, this isn't just a technicality, it is a health crisis. Under RCW 59.18.060, Washington law recognizes mold as a critical habitability issue. If the county issues a government-sanctioned efficiency score that ignores active biological growth, it sends a false positive signal that could mask structural decay and respiratory hazards. I ask you to look at your own data. The October 2024 stakeholders feedback summary shows that life safety and health is the #1 priority for residents. Realtors and contractors have already warned that energy scores do not tell the whole story. Feedback indicates that older HVAC systems often fail to dehumidify even when they are cooling. My proposed addendum fixes this by adding 2 simple, fiscally neutral checkboxes to the assessor's workflow: a functional fan test and a visual moisture assessment. We must ensure that high efficiency doesn't come at the cost of human health. This addendum prevents wealth traps for first-time home buyers and protects the health of renters who have no control over their buildings. Envelope. I have emailed the full text of the Moisture, Mold, and Habitability Addendum to your office. I urge you to integrate these life safety metrics into Section 4 of the ordinance to ensure that a green home in Thurston County is also a healthy home. Thank you.
Thank you. David Gaw's up. Jesse Simmons on deck.
Good afternoon. I'm David Gaw. I'm pretty much a lifelong resident here in Olympia, and have been so since my teens. I am here as a resident in support of this ordinance. A little bit of background about me is I was a principal investigator for the Washington State University Energy Program, which used to be the State Energy Office, and we did a lot of research with the Department of Energy in this space. We've seen the home energy rating being of significant value at a low cost compared to many other approaches. After having worked there, I also worked on the utility side. I worked for Cowlitz PUD as the energy efficiency manager. With regards to utility bills and information from prior owners, I would have to say the majority of utilities do not share that information to a new buyer. So there's no way for you to get that information unless the homeowner provides it. This is an easy approach, the home energy rating system, to actually get that information in front of new owners. It is a low cost, but it is a change. There's a lot of people here that are saying they don't like that change. This is something that's actually pretty simple to do. Yes, it's going to take time to get your workforce in place, processes in place, but this is something easy for a homeowner to take on. It's not very challenging to do. It is a low cost, but provides significant value, not just with the home, but with what the new homeowner will get. Next, I really want to touch on this aspect of meeting not just our regional, the Northwest Power Plan, and our efforts just as a community. This aligns with a lot of the efforts around energy efficiency and conservation, not just in the region, but for us as a community to stay healthy, safe, and be environmentally sound for future years to come. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jesse Simmons is up. Lynn Fitzhugh's on deck.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Jesse Simmons. I'm with the Olympia Master Builders. We represent about 500 members across 5 counties, Thurston, Lewis, Mason, Grays Harbor, and Pacific counties. They're all associated with the building industry, everybody from general contractors to bankers to loan officers, anybody in between that's associated with the building industry. A lot of what I wanted to address has already been said, and I did submit a letter beforehand with some comments kind of addressing the concerns of our members. Our members are ultimately opposed to the home energy score being at time of listing. But I did want to talk about results because I am married to an environmental scientist, and she would not look too fondly upon me if I didn't talk about the actual facts and the results of something like this. So we do have evidence across the country of several communities implementing this type of ordinance. And so I want to talk about what my research did find. I've researched this a little bit, and so what the evidence does not yet show. There is no robust large-scale evaluation proving that mandatory energy score disclosure leads to measurable, statistically significant increases in retrofits or energy savings across a jurisdiction's housing stock. Specifically, you won't find a published study showing a significant increase in retrofit activity caused by mandatory scoring versus markets without it. You won't find data showing that homes and jurisdictions with score mandates consumed measurably less energy in the year or years after implementation at the population level, at a specific population level. You won't find long-term impact studies isolating disclosure mandates from other factors, incentives, rebates, energy prices, weather, housing turnover rates, etc. Researchers consistently point out that disclosure alone is not an intervention that guarantees physical improvements. What matters for real energy savings is whether homeowners act on the information, and then that depends on incentives, financing, finance options, contractor availability, and personal priorities. That's all I have. Thank you.
Lynn Fitzhugh with Brock Gale on deck.
Lynn Fitzhugh, Director of Restoring Earth Connection, Olympia. 5 years ago, when I was then working for TCAT, the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan was passed by all 4 jurisdictions, and it included this home energy savings audit as one of 72 items. I spent 6 months convening a stakeholder group that had elected officials from all the jurisdictions and the then head of the Realtors Association and agents from each of the major brokerage firms participating in it. That group worked to come to consensus, and in fact did, on what should be in the Hess ordinance. Because of realtor feedback, it was understood that the item called residential energy performance ratings was redundant and not as effective. Because of realtor feedback, that item was dropped. I'm very surprised by the statements being made now that this $250 to $350 audit fee would have a cooling effect on local sales. The audit is the Department of Energy's home energy score, so it is on fixed items, which also fixes the cost. While done by private parties, they must follow a rubrics and cannot increase the cost. It really seems like hyperbole to say it will be a hardship, given that there are exemptions written in for various groups where it would be a hardship. Let's face it, at the point of sale of a home is when sellers and buyers have access to the most amount of cash. $250 out of tens of thousands of dollars in equity is not a hardship. This has already been done in Portland for close to a decade, as well as Berkeley and other cities. It has not created a chill on the market. Rather, we have been told that it helped homeowners find a property that better matched what they wanted, as well as help them to plan at the time they took their loan for costs like heat pumps or solar panels that they wanted. A bad score does not change the price of the home. It just informs the buyer what to expect. This item does not include mandates beyond it itself, nor is it a silver bullet. There are sadly no silver bullets in fighting climate change. We have to make changes across housing, energy, transportation, agriculture, and manufacturing, unfortunately, in absolutely every area. Certainly on the federal level, we are going 180 degrees in the wrong direction, but that does not change the fact that we can still do the right thing on the local level and that we need to. When our mitigation plan was made, the consultant was pretty clear. We have to do all of this, not pick and choose. I am asking everyone in the room to unite with making progress on climate for future generations, even when it's inconvenient. Thank you.
Thank you. Brock Gale with Maya Sandberg on deck.
I have to kind of bend forward. Hi, good afternoon, commissioners. My name's Barack Gale, and I live in Tumwater, and I support adoption of the Home Energy Score Ordinance. We've all seen how climate change is already affecting our region. The 2021 heat dome, how many of you remember that? Repeated drought emergencies year after year, hazardous smoke, intense atmospheric rivers causing tremendous infrastructure damage and flooding. And measures like this one are part of how we need to respond. But I'd like to focus on the practical side of the proposal. When people buy a home, they're not just buying the structure, they're taking on the monthly cost of living there. And energy is a really significant and rapidly rising part of that equation. And it's reasonable for buyers to have clear basic information about major ongoing costs before they commit to a purchase. We already accept that sellers provide information to buyers to help understand what they're purchasing, seller disclosure forms, septic inspections where applicable, HOA documents, and other routine steps. A home energy score fits right into that same category, a modest one-time assessment that gives buyers useful comparable information. I'm a retired optometrist, and in my profession, clear information was essential for people making decisions that affected them every day. I see this ordinance in that same spirit, giving people the information they need to make a sound decision. It seems to me the right thing to do. I've heard concerns about cost or burden, but in the context of a home purchase, it's tiny, and the value of the information lasts for years. In fact, knowing the likely energy performance of a home helps buyers assess the true affordability, not just the sale price. And yes, a buyer can seek this information, but what are the real chances that the buyer is going to know what to ask? And even if the buyer does seek that information, the information is not going to be standardized. It's not going to be comparable, and it's not going to be nearly as comprehensive. And regarding health, you know, nothing is of greater threat to the health of the public than climate change. And take a look at the 2019 medical call to action of 180 medical organizations in the country, including the AMA, the American Heart Association, and many more, that say that climate change is one of the major public health emergencies of the 21st century. So for all of these reasons, I encourage you to adopt the home energy score ordinance. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We have Maya Sandberg, and then I'll call for anyone that didn't get a chance to sign up in the room, and then we'll go to the folks online.
Hello, I'm Maya Sandberg. I'm pleased to be here today to urge you to adopt the home energy audit, HES. As a homeowner, I think it would be a very small investment in a transaction, whether as a buyer or a seller. Having the information as a buyer would help me plan to meet my values and make my choices in direction of preserving our environment and my own future costs. So please adopt this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room? Carl, I'll take you, and then you'll go second. And then, yes, come on up.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. My name is Rhonda Hunter, and I live on the forest edge in South Thurston County. As an ecosystem biologist, I remember the old maxim, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. The inconvenient truth is that climate disruption is accelerating much faster than our efforts to slow it down. A small inconvenience of $200 to $300 to sell a house worth an average of, I don't know, when I looked it up in Thurston County, $450,000, $500,000, that's pennies. And it enables people to measure their energy use so they can manage it. Here in Thurston County, Puget Sound Energy is still burning coal and using methane, which they call natural gas, in about half their electrical mix, our electrical mix. Both of these are fossil fuels that emit greenhouse gases and accelerate climate change. This home energy score estimates home energy use and carbon footprint. It includes recommendations to improve home energy use, lower carbon emissions, and save money on energy bills. It increases sales price of efficient homes by several $1,000s and results in more retrofits that save energy costs. These scores also help some homeowners qualify for certain mortgages. I propose that perhaps realtors offer to pay this tiny cost of the home energy score as a benefit to their clients. After all, the realtor's commission on a 500,000 home sale is, I don't know, $3,000. So $300 is a tiny service benefit to help with a sale. I have lived 55 years in my home, and when I sell it, this will be a benefit to my realtor because on the pension of a retired teacher, I did the home energy audit. I changed to a heat pump. I added solar, which powers my home for free for 9 months of the year and powers my electric car for free, no gasoline. And now, for years, I have saved thousands of dollars in energy costs because sun energy is free. So this is a homeowner buyer benefit, but first you need to measure it so you can manage it. Please pass this home energy score. And as a quick note, because I have a couple seconds, we humans may enjoy these sunny, dry winter days, but the forest that evolved to live in this previously rainy climate does not. We are short on rainfall, we are short on soil moisture, and this coming summer will be a fire threat to my forest edge home. The University of Washington Climate Impacts Group 30 years ago said, climate change will impact our state with too much water when we don't need it and not enough water when we do. And that's exactly how it's bearing out. Please pass it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Jennifer Chernett, and I'm the Executive Officer at the Thurston County Realtors. And everybody today is talking about costs, and I want to talk about real potential costs to the county and the taxpayers. Last week, I submitted a question regarding RCW 82.46.037 and whether a mandatory home inspection audit required prior to the listing or sale would implicate the statute's prohibition on point of sale or listing triggered requirements. To date, I've received no substantive response, although it sounds like it's coming possibly, addressing whether the county has conducted a full legal analysis of this issue. RCW 82.46.037 restricts jurisdictions collecting additional REIT from imposing requirements related to the listing or sale of residential real property. If the proposed audit must be completed before a property can be listed or sold, it appears to function as a listing triggered requirement. That raises a legitimate statutory compliance question. And we're not talking $300, we're talking millions of dollars. It is important that the commissioners and the taxpayers understand whether this proposal has any impact on REIT authority. I respectfully request clarification on whether a formal legal review has been completed and whether the county can confirm this proposal complies with RCW 82.46.037. Thank you.
It's next, Greg.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Larson-Kramer, and I live at 1814 East Side Street Southeast in Olympia. And I wanted to respond to one of the speakers who said there's no research showing that this helps get more home energy improvements. And so I just asked Google, and it says, yes, research particularly from the U.S. Department of Energy and Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory indicates that jurisdictions mandating a home energy score at the time of sale are associated with increased energy efficiency improvements, higher sales prices for efficient homes, and a better loan performance. And there's a bunch more research. So there actually is good stuff out there. So the proposal is simply a standardized disclosure, as you've heard. But I wanted to mention that this is being done already across the nation. Portland, Austin, Minneapolis, and the evidence from those cities shows that it does not slow down home sales or reduce property values. And it actually will help realtors and home sellers because efficient homes often sell for more, and the information helps transactions proceed with fewer surprises after closing. So I know that there's a lot of worry by people in the business of selling homes, but I think that just may come from the fear of something new. And so luckily this is not experimental. It's a proven low-cost tool already used successfully across the country. And so in the end of the day, it simply helps markets function better. And it allows buyers to compare homes fairly. So I am asking that you please approve this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Gregory.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Gregory Moe from Thurston County Realtors, Windermere Real Estate. I've been a practicing real estate broker for 26 years in Thurston County, all residential. And I encourage you to listen to the people whose profession it is to help people buy and sell homes. They deal with it on a daily basis, not the occasional person who's bought a home or has a rental and they haven't bought a home in 5 or 10 or 15 years or 20 or even 30 years. In closing, I'd like to leave one little phrase to you that the 9 most hated words in Thurston County are, "We're from the county and we're here to help." Thank you.
Anyone else in the room who didn't get a chance to sign up? Okay, we're gonna go online. Mr. Kurtz, I know I can read your name. I'm gonna need help with maybe some of the other names, but go ahead, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Hi, I'm Thad Kurtz. I live in the city of Olympia. According to Portland's report on the first 30 months of its home energy score ordinance, 20,000 houses in the city got scores through that program from 2018 to 2020. Their average actual cost was $125. The fees ranged from a minimum of $119 to a maximum of $180. After 18 months of the program, there were 50 companies providing energy scores. 70% of them said that they could schedule an appointment for doing a score within 2 days. There's been some inflation since then, but we have pretty clear evidence about the scale of the costs that we're talking about. At this point, the median price for a home sale in the county is just over $500,000. I just spent some time browsing the MLS. If you leave out manufactured homes and mobile homes, which aren't covered by this ordinance, the cheapest houses I could find are listed at $300,000. The cost of getting a score is trivial compared to what's involved in selling a house. If it were $300, it would be about 1/600th of 1% of the prices for the cheapest houses that you can find in the county. At 2% or 3% for the buyer's agent fee and for the seller's agent fee, the real estate brokers involved in selling one of those cheapest houses in the county come to something around $16,000. At $300, the cost of the score would come to less than 2% of what the real estate agents charge for seeing through the sale of one of these cheapest houses. The ordinance exempts people with less than 80% of the area minimum income from the requirement. So if you're a single person making less than $64,000 a year, you don't have to get a score at all. In short, this is about the smallest, easiest step I can imagine us taking to help people think about what the energy bills for a house they're buying might be, and to give them some information about what investments they might make in reducing those bills. The score will suggest steps that will pay back investments completely in less than 10 years and keep saving homeowners money after that. This ordinance was supposed to be the first joint regional climate initiative for the 3 cities and the county. It's already a year behind schedule. It's not as if this ordinance is a surprise or there haven't been multiple opportunities for people concerned about it, including the realtors talking here today, to participate in this process, raise issues, ask for changes in the details. Please, let's start taking some steps to actually reduce our emissions rather than just doing more planning and paying for more studies about ways in which we might reduce them. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Judy Barden. Judy Barden. All right, we'll go to Robert Lane.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert Lane. I'm a resident of Lacey, Washington. I first want to thank you, commissioners, for holding public comment and for the Thurston Regional Planning Council and the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan for the work they've done. I know as a volunteer for some of these types of events, these conversations have been in the work for a while, and I know it's hard to potentially pause when so much time has gone into the process. Honestly, I've struggled with the policy like this because I think an unintentional consequence is raising prices on homes due to additional bureaucracy. I think our community has really attempted to champion both environmental stewardship and the housing crisis, but ends up adding bureaucratic work that puts the burden on individual homeowners and small businesses that ultimately add up to the cost of housing. At the end of the day, does this work incentivize folks to have a better energy score, or simply acknowledge things that would already be seen in a standard listing and add approximately $300 to an already expensive process? As a first-time home buyer in Thurston County, I bought my home knowing it was older and that the trade-off for a lower barrier of entry was some energy inefficiencies. Over the course of the last few years, I've made these improvements to increase energy efficiencies based on my standard house inspection report, as well as a free comprehensive energy report from Puget Sound Energy. Yes, it's a nominal fee overall, but compounded with the rising cost of living, I think we have to carefully balance these types of issues. I do believe in climate change, and we should all be doing our part. But some of us don't have 55 years of equity built up into our home. And even on the margin of a $480,000 house, it's not as big as you'd think if you've only owned the home a few years. When tenants and homeowners alike are facing a minimum of 12% increase on electricity and 2% on gas, I'd be hesitant to add yet another barrier into home ownership process. These increases from Puget Sound Energy are stated to kind of move for state-mandated clean energy transitions, grid modernizations, and infrastructure upgrades that are already, slowly being implemented. The state has continued to attempt to legislate its way out of a housing crisis, and the local jurisdictions are drowning in their attempts to update their codes as it only continues to compound on the backlog. I do think it's admirable that the county would cover the cost for low-income earners, but when the county is facing a multi-million-dollar deficit, are we in a position to offer the services, and when we could avoid spending these resources altogether? I really do appreciate the work that you do for our community, and I just ask that you pause and reflect before voting and realize while we increase environmental stewardship, we may very well be contributing to our own housing crisis. This feels a little more like a checkbox and less like meaningful change. Good intentions alone are not a sufficient reason to pass policy or ordinances. Thank you.
Tom Crawford.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'd like to read to you this afternoon a letter that you've received from the Thurston Lewis Mason Central Labor Council with an accompanying resolution in support of this ordinance. Dear Thurston County Commissioners, the Thurston Lewis Mason Central Labor Council, representing 43 union locals and more than 20,000 working people, is demanding immediate action on the county staff prepared residential energy performance rating and disclosure policy and ordinance. At our November 19th membership meeting, our delegates adopted a resolution calling for this ordinance to be enacted without delay. And again, you've received an electronic copy of that. Our members are tired of watching climate commitments gather dust while the impacts of climate change intensify around us. Working people are already paying the price through higher energy bills, wildfire smoke, extreme heat, and economic instability. We cannot afford more delay. This ordinance is practical, modest, and ready. It will reduce climate-disrupting pollution by improving residential energy efficiency. It will lower utility costs for working families who are struggling with rising expenses. And it will create good local jobs in energy auditing, retrofitting, and construction. Jobs our members are ready and qualified to do. The Board of County Commissioners adopted the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan in 2021. That plan was not meant to sit on a shelf. This ordinance is one of the first concrete actions identified to implement it. Failing to move forward now undermines the credibility of our local climate commitments and signals that promises to the community and to working people are optional. We urge you in the strongest possible terms, adopt the residential energy performance rating and disclosure policy and ordinance now. Not next year, not after another study, now. Working people are watching. Our members expect leadership equal to the scale of the crisis. It is time to act. Sincerely, Rachel Martin, President, Thurston Lewis Mason Central Labor Council. Thank you very much.
Tasha Hayes.
Hello. Thank everybody for all their interesting comments. I am the president of Restoring Earth Connections. A lot of people have said some of the things that I was going to say, but I did have a few other things. The first one is that one of the people who spoke, who was a realtor, had said something about there only being one assessor in Vancouver. I question that. From what I've looked at, that does not seem to be accurate. Perhaps I misunderstood, but there's certainly many when I look online. The second thing is that I did have the opportunity to look at comments from both people in Portland and people in Austin, and there are some very positive comments about how this has helped, including, of course, that that sellers can sell their houses for more if it is energy efficient, and so they do have the opportunity to make those changes and sell their, sell things for more money, which is again, the cost of doing this is not high. So that is another very positive thing. The other thing is that I should just mention from a personal viewpoint that I bought a house 2 years ago. I did not have an energy score done. I was ignorant at that time. And I have been quite unhappy with some of the things that I have discovered since I have been in the home and have made a number of changes. I probably would have offered less for the house had I known, and they probably would have taken it, had I known about these things, if it had been clear to me. So that is another thing that makes me feel that this is very important, of course, and we're trying to reduce our carbon footprints in every possible way that we can. There is no reason that things can't be added later, such as the thing about the mold, which of course is important, but not necessarily related to this particular home energy score ordinance. So I, again, very much ask the commissioners to vote for it. I feel like the advantages very much outweigh the disadvantages. Thank you.
Betsy Norton.
Hi. Hi, Commissioners. Thank you for hearing us. My name is Betsy Norton. I live at 1405 Evergreen Park Drive Southwest in Olympia. I support the Residential Energy Performance Rating and Disclosure Ordinance. I believe this is a good step toward effective changes to reduce energy use and related greenhouse gas emissions which are driving accelerating climate change. I support this ordinance for 3 reasons. It makes expected utility costs transparent to prospective buyers and their realtors. It educates and informs homeowners and their real estate agents regarding the types of improvements which are most effective from an energy and cost perspective. And thirdly, over time, my hope is that the home builders will also learn from these evaluations and will build homes which prioritize energy efficiency from the ground up. Thank you very much.
Erin Greenlee.
Hello. Today I am reading a statement by Vince Schuler, a resident of Thurston County. He is a recently retired professional who spent a 30-year career evaluating public and community programs, of which over 20 years were focused specifically on evaluating the effectiveness of energy efficiency programs in Thurston County, Washington State, and the United States on behalf of the Washington State Energy Office and Washington State University Energy Program. Adopting a requirement for home energy ratings is a modest but important first step in the Thurston County Climate Mitigation Plan. Energy costs are becoming more important for home purchasers as residential utility rates are increasing rapidly. As a homeowner who has made investments in energy efficiency in both homes I have owned in the county, it is important to have a means of recognizing and communicating that value to prospective purchasers. Through my direct experience with realtors and in research I conducted on the content of real estate listing services in the past, it was evident that most realtors did not have the orientation, skill set, or knowledge to recognize or communicate the value proposition for energy efficiency investments and likely impacts on the homeowner's life cycle costs. The HESS tool does a good job of balancing cost, accuracy, and simplicity in communicating that value. It is important to understand that home energy rating systems provide their value by enabling comparison to all similar homes in an area. This is why voluntary rating programs are not effective and have been shown to deliver fewer benefits. Over the last 25 years, there's pretty reliable evidence that when HES have a high penetration in a market, they deliver value for all home buyers and sellers, and that the benefits to buyers, sellers, and the community outweigh costs. The ACEEE white paper on energy rating systems does a good job of summarizing more recent research. There is also, to my knowledge, no systemic and independent research that shows HES requirements have imposed undue burdens and costs on realtors and their clients. For realtors who claim this today, what is your data, research, and source? My hope is that this is the first of many actions on the recommendations in the TCMP. Taking these actions in our community and state have become even more important as our federal government has abandoned science and its role in supporting public and community health and welfare. Thank you.
Richard Jones.
Hello, my name is Rich Jones. I am a homeowner in Tumwater, and I'm here to recommend that this body adopt this ordinance. So I want to encourage the policymakers here to take a step back from the false dichotomy between climate and home affordability and consider the purpose and logic of the ordinance. In Microeconomics 101, they teach that a free market economy should meet 3 key criteria to function effectively. 1, people make rational choices based on their values. 2, people maximize their utility. That is, they maximize the impact of what they value using what they have. 3, people make choices using the most complete and relevant information available. Government policy can play a critical role in a free market by correcting and preventing cases where one or more of these criteria systematically fails to materialize and causes economic imbalances, or what economists call market failures. Now think about the home energy score. This policy is helping to bridge a crucial knowledge gap for home buyers by providing them with information that will help them to make a more rational choice about what will likely be the single largest purchase of their lives. In this day and age, a standardized index indicating a home's relative efficiency should be easily obtainable and therefore should be available to all parties involved. So to be clear, the cost here is only information. No improvements are being mandated. In the context of a modern real estate transaction, as many others have indicated today, to a home buyer or a seller, a few $100s more and a few added weeks or whatever for another inspection is trivial. This policy is really well thought out and includes many reasonable incentives, as others have mentioned. And don't forget that most home sellers are usually buyers too, and would also benefit. Some of the examples that opponents have offered today are more of an indictment of the entire industry or society even, not necessarily this policy. This policy covers much more information than just what's in the utility bills. Most buyers likely do not even have enough information to know what to look for or why they should care. Sellers know a lot more about the overall cost of owning their home than potential buyers. And the notion that buyers would create this policy would create additional barriers to homeownership, that's less grounded in facts than the notion that this policy would reduce emissions. Finally, the argument that the real estate industry has the greatest sense about this policy, I think that could be the most dangerous truism I've heard. Remember that the most vocal opponents of this policy here today have a direct profit incentive to maximize the marginal profits of home sales, right? Not necessarily maintain the ease or affordability of housing. Don't let that special interest group conflate their personal agenda with the function of a free market economy, and don't let them disingenuously use the housing crisis as a weapon to deter you from doing your duty as custodians of the greater good. Thank you.
Lee Reiner. Lee Reiner.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. I am not a real estate agent. I live in Olympia, Washington. Many of this ordinance, it's an educational tool. I understand that. We all care about the climate. We all care about stopping this horrible greenhouse gas emission that is destroying our planet. But this ordinance will not help our county. We are not Portland. We are not Eugene. We are a small county, barely 300,000 people. This ordinance is going to hit the elderly. Most of the people who are going to be selling their homes in the next 5 to 10 years are elderly people, the baby boom generation. Many of my friends are getting to that point where their physical problems are so large that they are going to have to sell their home and either go into assisted living or go into a place closer to their relatives. Usually when this happens, there is not much time. Usually you think to yourself, oh, I'll live forever. Well, it doesn't happen that way. I see many of my friends suddenly getting sick. They have to sell their home. Everybody says, well, oh, the home is worth a lot of money. They're going to be able to use that home to afford this energy audit. Well, no. They don't get that money until the home is sold. They don't have access to that money from selling the home until the home is sold. So this whole issue about, oh, the home seller has a lot of money is a fallacy. Most people have trouble paying for their mortgages. Most people have trouble putting food on the table from their Social Security check, which usually is what, $1,000 a month, $1,200 a month. So bottom line, this is going to hit the elderly in Thurston County in a big way. And this is not about real estate development or anything. This is talking about a demographic that's going to be hit very hard in Thurston County. At the point of sale, we already have home inspections. At the point of sale, we already have seller disclosure forms. On those forms, I guess you've seen them. What, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pages of forms to disclose to the buyer the state of the house? Have you looked through those? Why can't these issues regarding energy efficiency be folded into the seller disclosure form? Why do we have to have an auditor come out to our house? Why do we have to wait until the contractor comes out to our house to give us this energy audit? I don't know about you, but in Thurston County, trying to get anybody to come and fix my problems at my old house, whether it's plumbing, sheetrock, anything, it takes a lot of time to get any kind of contractor to show up whatsoever. We're a county of 300,000 people. We don't have many people helping us with these issues. So please think about this. This is the demographic issue. You're going to be punching the seniors of this county in the stomach. Thank you.
Alyssa Jones.
I'm here just observing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Jane Tompkins. Or Marianne, excuse me.
That's okay. Hi, Commissioners. I'm Marianne Tompkins. I reside in Olympia, Thurston County. I am here to support the home energy audit requirement. I had a lot to say, but everybody's really already said it. It's a simple implementation for climate change that we can do on a local level. And the county and the local jurisdictions already supported this in their, as a specific action in the Thurston County's adopted comprehensive plan and in the regional TCMP. And I believe that there is help for seniors and low income. So we have to keep that in mind as well. Thank you for my time.
Eileen Swarthout. Eileen. Tanya Baker. Christine Schaefer. Christine Schaefer. Molly O'Donnell. Those are all the speakers that are on their chair.
So we need an observer. I don't know, is there anyone else who's waiting to give comment on this topic? Okay, very good. I think we got it. So, we have just a proposed action. It's probably worth mentioning to the group who's listening. We had a request from our attorneys to give us some input, and that couldn't be scheduled before today, so that's happening shortly. So the board was not going to be taking any action on this today, but we expect in very short order to have that input from prosecuting attorney's office, and then the board will decide how it's going to proceed. So that could happen as quickly as tomorrow.
Was confirmed for tomorrow, Chair.
Okay, so that'll happen tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. But at this point, all I'm asking for from the board is a motion to close the public hearing.
I would move to close the public hearing. Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, motion carries. Public hearing is closed. And we are now going to move to our second public hearing, which relates to the 2026 election precinct maintenance plan. The purpose of this public hearing is to consider and accept public testimony on the proposed ordinances for the 2026 election precinct maintenance plan in accordance with RCW 29A16040. This is a hybrid public hearing. Those wishing to testify have joined by Zoom, emailed in comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select BOCC meetings, hearings, and work session agendas. The information to join this public hearing remotely is posted there. If you are not providing testimony but would like to follow along, you can visit our Thurston County YouTube channel. Madam Clerk, do we have live streaming at this point?
Live streaming is still continuing.
It's continuing. Okay, so that's still an option. We will have our elections manager, staff. Okay, Lynn Watanabe will be, who's one of our elections staff member from the auditor's office, will provide information on the topic. Assuming those on Zoom wish to testify, your name will be read aloud. You'll have 3 minutes to testify. That may not be given to any other speaker. When called on, please state your name and address for the record. This public hearing is now open, and Lynn will present background information and any information that the board requests.
Thank you, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Lynn Watanabe with Thurston County Auditor's Office. On January 13th, 2026, staff briefed the BOCC on this proposed precinct maintenance plan for 2026. In accordance with RCW 29A16040, no changes may be made during the period starting 7 days prior to the first day for candidates to file for the primary election. The deadline for precinct changes is April 27th, 2026, since candidate filing is earlier, which is May 4th through the 8th. The elections team is in the process of performing precinct maintenance now. These changes are necessary adjustments to precincts with registered voters reaching the maximum number of active voters, city annexations, and to improve precinct boundaries. This includes updating 24 precincts with proposed legal descriptions and precinct boundary changes, adding 14 precincts and their legal descriptions, 1 legal description correction, amending Commissioner Districts number 2, 3, 4, and 5 legal descriptions, and approximately 9,161 registered voters affected. January 21st, information was published on our website for the public to review, and to date, we've received 1 comment for today's public hearing. We received an email. Do you all have a total of voters by commissioner districts based on the proposed 2026 precinct maintenance and annexation plan district changes? I understand these numbers will not be fully vetted until later this month. We let the person know that the boundaries of the commissioner districts are not changing, just the internal precinct boundaries are changing. The total number of voters in each commissioner district will remain unchanged. We asked, are you looking for a current total of voters in each commissioner district? We ended up calling the voter to clarify the information that they were seeking, which was a way to identify densely populated areas in each commissioner district. So we offered a data request form as a way for them to request the data they were seeking by district.
Any questions for Lynn?
And so I will pass it off to Laura to just give the overview and the results for the precinct. Thank you.
Yep.
Wanting to work. If you point it up this way, try again. We'll just.
There you go.
There you go. Okay. So I'm gonna just, for time constraints, we're gonna just skip on to the results.
there is a work session that the public can access with all of these detailed changes, and so it's there for folks to look at if they like to dig deeper.
Perfect. Thank you. My name is Laura Carlson, and I'm with the Elections Division of the Auditor's Office. Currently, Thurston County has 294 voting precincts, and with our proposed changes, we will have 308 voting precincts. The approximate number of voters affected by all the precinct changes will be 9,161. Voting precincts added due to City of Tumwater annexation is 1. City of Yelm annexation is 1. Precincts approaching 1,500 voters will be 12. Voting precincts names changed is 2. Precinct boundary adjustments due to City of Tumwater annexation is 1. City of Yelm annexation, 11. Precincts approaching 1,500 voters and precinct boundary adjustments, 15. Precinct legal descriptions added due to City of Tumwater annexation, 1. City of Yelm annexation, 1. Precincts approaching 1,500 voters, 12. Precinct legal descriptions amended due to City of Tumwater annexation, 1. City of Yelm annexation, 11. Precincts approaching 1,500 voters and precinct boundary adjustments, 15. Legal description correction is just 1. Commissioner legal descriptions amended, only internal precinct changes, no boundary changes, and no voter total changes, 4. Commissioner District number 2 to reflect 6 added precincts and 2 renamed precincts. Commissioner District 3 to reflect 3 added precincts. Commissioner District 4 to reflect 2 added precincts. Commissioner District 5 to reflect 3 added precincts. And then what's next? We are currently on bullet point 3, holding the public hearing and asking for the adoption of our precinct maintenance plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go to public comment. Is there anyone in the room here to give public comment on this topic? Is there anyone online here to give public comment on this topic? Not hearing anyone. Last call. Public comment on the precinct maintenance plan. Okay, then I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have a couple of proposed actions. If the board would like to, someone would like to make a motion.
I move to approve an ordinance for the proposed legal description and precinct boundary changes, updating 24 precincts with boundary line adjustments, adding 14 precincts and their legal descriptions and 1 legal description correction.
Second.
Motion and second to approve this ordinance. Any discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, that's unanimous. And let's go to the last item.
I move to approve an ordinance amending Commissioner District 2, Commissioner District 3, Commissioner District 4, and Commissioner District 5 legal descriptions due to the precinct changes.
Second.
Motion and second to amend these legal descriptions. Any discussion on that motion?
I have one.
Yes.
The constituent who was in touch with the auditor's team let me know that you did a great job communicating and wanted to give kudos. So I appreciate you for working with that constituent to get them the information they need.
Awesome, thank you. Anything else? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries, and we're adjourned.